Here's some information about global warming. The current warming trend is of particular significance because most of it is extremely likely to be a result of human activity since the mid-20th century and proceeding at a rate that is unprecedented over decades to millennium. The Earth's climates have changed throughout history. Just in the last 650,000 years, there have been 7 cycles of glacier advance and retreatment, with the abrupt end of the last ice age about 7,000 years ago, marking the beginning of the modern climate era and of human civilization. Most of these climate changes are attributed to very small variations in Earth's orbit that have changed the amount of solar energy our planet receives. Earth orbiting satellites and other technology advances have enabled scientists to see the big picture, collecting many different types of information about our planet and its climate on a global scale. The body of data collected over many years reveals the signals of a changing climate. So the heat-trapping nature of carbon dioxide and other gases was demonstrating in the mid-19th century. Their ability to affect the transfer of infrared energy through the atmosphere is the scientific basis of many instruments flown by NASA. There is no question that increased levels of greenhouse gases must cause the Earth to warm in responses. So the ice cores drawn from Greenland, Antarctica, and tropical mountain glaciers show that the Earth's climate responses to changes in greenhouse gases levels. Ancient evidence can also be found in tree rings, ocean sediments, coral reefs, and layers of sediment rocks. This ancient or paleoclimate evidence reveals that current warming is occurring roughly 10 times faster than the average rate of ice age recovery warming. What's the cause of climate change? Most climate scientists agree that the main cause of the current global warming trend is human expansion of the greenhouse effect. Warming that results when the atmosphere traps heat radiating from the Earth toward space. Certain gases in the atmosphere block heat from escaping. Long-lived gases that remain semi-permanently in the atmosphere and do not respond physically or chemically to the changes in temperature are described as forcing climate change. Gases such as water vapor, which respond physically or chemically to changes in temperature, are seen as feedback. So let's get into some reasons why climate change is happening. So global temperature rises. The planet's average surface temperature has risen about 2 degrees Fahrenheit since the late 19th century, and a change driven largely by increased carbon dioxide and the other human-made emissions into the atmosphere. Most of the warming occurred in the past 35 years, with 16 of the 17 warmest years on record occurring since 2001. Not only was 2016 the warmest year, but 8 of the 12 months that make up the year from January through September, with the exception of June, were the warmest on the record for those respective months. Warming in oceans. The oceans have been absorbed much of this increased heat, with the top 700 meters or about 2,300 feet of the ocean showing warming of 0.302 degrees Fahrenheit since 1969. Shrinking ice sheets. The Greenland and Antarctic ice sheets have decreased in mass. Data from NASA's gravity recovery and climate experiments show Greenland lost 150 to 250 cubic kilometers or 36 to 60 cubic miles of ice per year between 2002 and 2006, while Antarctic lost about 152 cubic kilometers, 36 cubic miles, of ice between 2002 and 2005. Glacial retreat. Glaciers are retreating almost everywhere around the world, including the Alps, Himalayas, Andes, Rockies, Alaska, and Africa. Decreased snow cover. Satellite observation revealed that the amount of spring snow cover in the northern hemisphere has decreased over the past 5 decades, and that snow is melting earlier than normal. Sea level rises. So global sea level has rose about 8 inches in the last century. The rate in the last 2 decades, however, is nearly double that of the last century. To go along with sea level rising, well, there's also declining in Arctic sea ice. Both of the extent of thickness of Arctic sea ice has declined rapidly over the last several decades. Some extreme events that are happening during climate change. The number of record high temperature events in the United States have been increasing, while the number of record low temperatures events have been decreasing since 1950. The U.S. has also witnessed increasing numbers of intense rainfall events. So finally, last but not least, ocean acidification. Since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, the acidity of the surface ocean waters has increased by about 30%. This increase is a result of humans emitting more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and hence more being absorbed into the ocean. The amount of carbon dioxide absorbed by the upper layer of the oceans is increasing by about 2 billion tons per year. So in conclusion, I talked about how the Earth's climate has changed throughout history. Some information about how the current warming trend is of particular significance because most of it is extremely likely to be a result of human activity since the mid-20th century. Some of the causes that have made climate change happen is, example, the greenhouse effect, how warming that results when the atmosphere traps heat, radiation from Earth towards space. Some of those effects that have been through climate change is global temperature rises, warming oceans, shrinking ice sheets, glacier retreats, decreased snow cover, sea level rise, declining Arctic sea, extreme events, ocean acidification. And there's probably more, but that's what I could find in my website that I looked on. So, with all that, you guys should have taken a consideration in this video that I have made, thinking about what can you do to fix it. What can you do to do this and that? What can help you with your carbon footprint? So, this is my documentary on climate change. My name is Jason Town. Have a good day.